Welcome back to the BGG's People Choice. Today we're talking about the top 10 Spiel des Jahres winners.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murph, and yes, today we're talking about winners of
Spiel des
the Spiel des Jahres, which, if you are not aware, is the German Game of the Year.
Yes.
So this is kind of like a benchmark for a game to hit if you ever get nominated for the Spiel.
It's a huge
Certainly,
deal.
if you win it, it is a big deal because you are going to be in many a German household.
Yes.
And really, it kind of is a big boon to your game worldwide.
Oh yeah, well, worldwide for sure. I mean, even though it's the game of the year, but it's decided on by a panel in Germany and stuff, so it's technically considered to be the German game of the year. Even though it's that, has ripples across the world. But people if it is still the biggest individual award in board games by a massive margin.
Absolutely, and this is typically going to be games that are aimed at families.
Yes.
So they're going to be kind of playable by the whole family. There's also the Kenner Spiel,
Which is like strategy games.
More
So
heavy
you're not going to
strategy.
see Arc Nova and things like that on this list because of the fact that these lists tend to skew a little bit lighter because again, it's meant to be for families.
Absolutely. There's also the Kinderspiel, which is specifically for kids, and they're really big accolades to gain for a game. So what we're going to talk about, as you see that this does get the word out about a game, a lot of these games are actually quite highly rated on the overall rankings of Board Game Geek. So with the People's Choice videos, we are not deciding anything today.
Nope.
You are deciding everything. So we're going to talk about the Spiel des Jahres winners that are the 10 most highly ranked overall on Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar, on Board Game Geek, you can rate your games.
Yes.
You can leave reviews. You can, talk about games. And the higher, rated a game is by the more people, it will affect its overall status. So this is something that's a living document.
Yeah, which is really
These
cool.
things shift and stuff, which is, really, really awesome.
If you check into this video a year later, this list might be different, which
May
again,
very
we
well.
think is really, really cool. You can watch our last video where we talked about the top 10 games of 2025. That list is probably already different because again, this is a updating living document.
Yeah.
All of Board Game Geek really is a kind of giant living document. Whereas again, as people rate games, different games will pop in and out of the top 10, all these kinds of things. That's just how it goes. But we think that's a really, really cool part of this. And again, it's driven by y'all. It's driven by the people who are rating and commenting. We get one rate and one comment for a game. So this,
we
this
contribute
isn't
our
our
amount.
list, Yeah.
That's it.
But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into the top 10 Spiel des Jahres winners. So the Spiel des Jahres has actually been around for quite a while. It's 1978, and in 1979 was the first winner, which was Hare and Tortoise. So it's been around for quite a while.
Coming up on 50 years in a couple of years, which
Indeed.
is wild.
And number 10 on this list of the 10 highest rated Spiel des Jahres winner is actually Carcassonne.
Carcassonne, of course, was a massive success.
Yeah, it still is. It's an evergreen game.
Yeah, it still is. And Carcassonne is a game that is responsible for bringing so many people into the hobby. This entire list will be basically great examples of games to help get people into the hobby.
For the most part, yeah.
But Carcassonne, I feel like, has its DNA and so many people's origins into the board gaming hobby. So Carcassonne is a tile-laying game where you are going to have a tile on a turn, and you have to add it to the kind of growing board state before you in such a way that the landscape makes sense. These tiles are going to show roads, cities, monasteries, grass, and you have to have things like grass touching grass, road extending road, city to city, in such a way that makes sense. If you have, a road running directly into city, that's mayhem.
Cities don't have roads.
That's bad. That's famously, they do not ever have roads. So it's like a dead simple game in terms of the mechanisms, like grab a tile, place a tile, make the landscape make sense.
Yeah, when you place a tile, you can place one of your meeples, your colored meeples, on this tile. I think it was the first game that had the name meeple.
I think so. It kind of launched, at least popularized them.
Yeah, you put your meeple on the road, and then once that road finishes, you get to take your meeple off, and you will get 1 point for every tile that road is long. Cities work the same way, where you place a tile, you can put a meeple in the city as long as there already isn't one. And when that city closes, has a wall all the way around it. You get 2 points per tile in that city. Monasteries want to be completely surrounded. So as you're putting stuff down, you're claiming these with your meeples, trying to finish them. But there's a lot of like strategic getting in each other's way, we'll put it, where basically if I start a row over here, put Meeple on it, Mikey starts a road over here, puts Meeple on it, if those two roads connect, we're then going to share those points. And so it's one of those things where a lot of this game is trying to like jockey your way into other people's cities and stuff and get in their way. You also can have farmers, which will deal with like the grassland, which can get you a ton of points. It's just so good. And this game does, I think, what a lot of good gateway games do, which it kind of shows people who don't know anything about modern board games something they haven't seen before. Everyone knows Monopoly, everyone knows Sorry, everyone knows the Game of Life, games with a board, games with dice. This game starts off as a single tile, or the river if you're playing the river, but it starts with a single tile. So it teaches to new people, they go like, this is it? We're like, oh yeah, we're going to build the board as we play. And that is something they've never seen, probably never even thought was possible. Our gateway game was Pandemic, and one of the reasons why it hooked us so much, because I didn't know board games could be cooperative. That was not a thing that I thought existed. And so showing new people something new is a big deal when it comes to getting in the hobby, and I think Carcassonne is one of the best at doing that.
I totally agree. Next up is going to be a classic from 81, I believe.
I believe so, yeah.
Quite a while ago anyway. This is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective.
The Thames Murders and Other Cases.
You know what I mean? This is a deduction, mystery-solving game where you are going to be chasing down leads, interviewing folks, looking through like newspapers and things, looking for clues to solve famous cases as you are Sherlock Holmes. So this is...
First escape room.
Yeah. It's kind of an escape room, right? It's board game. Even on Board Game Geek here, it says like this is not a board game. There's no dice, there's no cards and stuff. It's just your mind.
Yeah, it's all deduction.
You are Sherlock Holmes. You got to solve the mystery. So this is kind of like a game that would be the precursor to the exit games, unlock games, things that lean into that kind of escape room mentality. And this is one that's just been around and persisted for such a long time.
Everyone loves a whodunit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
It's fun to like pick up on something, find some sort of pattern in all of the, this seemingly useless information that you are finding. And so, Sherlock Holmes is a brand that is, everlasting. Yeah. Very popular. And people enjoy feeling clever, working together to solve this case. And I feel like, as a result of its nature, and you can have cases, they've been able to expand and support this game over many, many, many years now.
Because as long as you can think of new cases, you can kind of do this forever. And you can take some from actual Sherlock Holmes novels and things like that, or you can just make up your own. It's one of those... Sherlock Holmes is now old enough to be in the public domain, right? It's like, it's obviously continued on forever. People love detectives, people love deduction, people love those kinds of things. So putting that in a board game just makes sense. But particularly when this first came out, now we don't know for sure, but I'm guessing this was one of the first games of this type, one of the first kind of deduction games like this. And again, like, deduction games are crazy. It's like people love solving puzzles. That's why people like crosswords. That's why people like Sudoku, things like that. People love solving puzzles. Then you add in Sherlock Holmes, it's awesome. And be able to kind of do that together around a table is very, very, very cool. So it's a very good... Again, we talk about the Spiel des Jahres. The Spiel des Jahres is family game of the year, basically.
The whole family work together, put their heads together.
Something that's just off this list is, I think it was like number 12 or so, is Micro Macro Crime City. And it's something kind of similar where it's like you're solving cases, you're solving murders, but something you can all do together as a family. Where some people with like Micro Macro would be kind of like, oh, it's more of an activity than a game. It's like, yes, maybe, but it's like that is a perfect activity for the family. Yeah. Which is, again, what the Spiel des Jahres is ultimately for. So Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective, The Thames Murders and Other Cases makes total sense to be here. And again, these kinds of games have stuck around forever for a reason.
Next up is a certified banger, actually celebrating its anniversary, 10 years, I think.
10 years.
This year, it says Codenames.
Codenames, indeed.
The party game that is just swept.
Took over, to say the least.
Everything. When it came out and stuff. I very much remember when this came out. This is a clue-giving game where you are going to be on two teams and you are spies and things who are using code names, aka a bunch of random words that are in the middle of the table, and you're trying to correctly identify the agents' words that are your teams,
Yes.
while avoiding the words that are the other team's spies. And then, of course, everyone must avoid the assassin at all costs.
Of course.
So there'll be one clue giver who's going to say a one-word clue, and then they will say how many words of the 25 in the middle of the table, how many words my clue pertains to.
Yes.
So, maybe 2 of my words are semi-animal related, so I'll say something like furry 2. And then people will look at all 25 words and try to think of like which 2 words are the most like pointed toward this strange clue that came in. And you're trying to get through your clues before your opposing team gets through theirs. I think it's like clue giving games, things you can do with a big group are just perfect fodder for like an everlasting kind of party game. So Codenames is kind of beauty and simplicity. But that little twist of I'm giving you a clue, but it can point to multiple answers. That was something that I was just like, man, that takes it from something we've seen before and just makes it a whole new thing with that one little twist. And I feel like that is why this has been so popular.
Yeah, and it's just infinitely playable because you could have the same words, the same like clue card that kind of shows the clue masters what words are theirs, and just change up the group of people and it would already be a different game. But then again, like the cards are just words. There's a lot of words on the planet, so like you can just have a ton of cards in it, and then you have those different. So even if you have the same cards, having a different map of where your stuff is would also. So these kinds of 3 things just make the game infinitely playable.
Yeah,
it's just so easy to get to the table. It's so easy to teach people. It's just great. And then there's been a whole bunch of different versions. There's a whole bunch of different themed versions, like Disney ones and stuff like that. There's Codenames Pictures, which are kind of like weird little surreal pictures. Yep. There's Codenames Duet, which is a 2-player cooperative version, which really sounds like it wouldn't work. It's by far my favorite way to play. I love Codenames Duet. There's so much of this game out there because it's just so playable, so easy to get to the table. And yeah, it makes total sense that it won the Spiel des Jahres. Another party game that won the Spiel des Jahres is going to be Just One.
Beauty and simplicity.
Again, it's beauty and simplicity. This is another cooperative kind of clue-giving game where there is going to be, everyone's on the same team, it's cooperative. You're going to have one person who's going to be the guesser, and everyone else is going to basically see a word prompt. The prompt might be like hospital, something like that. Baseball, something like that. And everyone then is going to have to write a clue on this little dry erase kind of like a little placard.
You have a one-word clue.
A one-word clue that is kind of point them to that. The thing is the whole just one part of it is that only each clue can only have one person give that clue. So if the thing was hospital, both Mike and I wrote down doctor, we will all show our clues to each other first before the guesser gets to see them. And if there's any repeats, we have to erase them.
Yep.
So if we both put doctor, we erase that. Now there's 2 less clues for the guesser to have to try and glean information from. So what happens in this game, why this game I personally find so fun, is everyone goes, well, I can't put nurse because that's too obvious.
Yeah.
So I'm going to write stethoscope. The thing is, everyone else is trying to go like deep diving in. So you end up having matches on really weird words and then no one puts doctor because everyone assumes everyone else is going to put doctor. It's just insane. And then once all the eliminations have happened, you show the guesser and they try and guess what the clue is. It's really, really fun. You can also play it where they're having to guess like 2 words, which makes it more challenging. Because then some of the clues will pertain to one of the words, some of the clues will pertain to the other word. That's a really fun way to play. It's just dead simple. Again, as we talked about multiple times, you can play with the whole family very, very easily. And it's fun. You run into these things, you're like, oh God, we both put nurse.
Yeah.
Dang. Sometimes there'll be like one clue left over and they're like, I don't know. And it's just very fun.
It's great.
Sometimes things just create something completely new.
Absolutely. This is going to be Dominion.
Yeah.
Now,
new mechanic at the time.
we say that, yeah, deck building, and I'm sure there are some games out there from the past, but Dominion put deck building on the map.
I think it was the first time it was seen. Correct me if I'm wrong,
but
I think it was the first time this kind of deck building where you go through your deck, buying stuff, reshuffle, go through. I think it was the first one.
So Dominion is a game that is a deck building, pure and simple deck building game where you are going to start off with cards that are like, okay. They'll give you some amount to buy stuff or some amount of things you can do as actions. But then you were going to be buying progressively, stronger cards from the market throughout the game so that you have a higher and higher chance of drawing a very valuable hand.
Yes.
There's a bunch of buying power. Then you can actually start buying the cards that are worth points for you.
Which don't do anything for you, but that's how you win the game, right?
So there's this interesting thing where it's just about, getting, again, better chance at drawing a strong hand. There's a whole bunch of different types of cards. You'll only use so many types from game to game, so that will also add a ton of variety.
Yes, and there's a million
expansions. Which is really, really cool. I think that's something that's made this game so lovable for so long, is there's just a ton of content, a ton of things you can do, and then the idea of, like, I need to build up my deck so I can start getting those valuable things, but then as you get those valuable things, they essentially, gunk up the works because, again, they don't have an in-game function, so you're like, now it's getting in the way of me drawing those good cards. I think that little balance point is really cool and interesting. And yeah, being at the time that people are like, I've not seen this, cards be used this way, I think really caught everyone's attention. And it's been just, it's been, if you talk about deck building and stuff, you will inevitably compare it to Dominion all these years later, which is really impressive.
And that's the thing, is, like, think of how often we see a truly new mechanic in board games. It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
It's hard to think of a new mechanic that is good. And so, it makes sense. And then Dominion is just, again, an evergreen classic. People still love Dominion. People still play Dominion. It's still this massive game, massively popular. Everything on this list is an evergreen game. That's evergreen games tend to win the Spiel Jahres.
Yep.
But it's like, Dominion. We weren't in board gaming yet. I can only imagine what it was like when there was just like, you do what in this game?
Yeah.
Like, God, that's so cool. And so, again, it's a game. I would say this is probably one of the heavier games on this list, but it's just such a classic. It makes total sense to win the Spiel Jahres. You do something new like that and kind of fundamentally change the industry, you got a good shot. This is actually the most recent winner, and people really, really like this game. We do our top 10 hottest games of the month video at the end of the month, or I guess the very beginning of the month, rather. And this is always in the top 10 most played games of the month. This is Bomb Busters.
Yeah, this is a game where you are trying to defuse a bomb by basically guessing what numbers other players have. So you're going to have these little skinny tiles that are going to have numbers, and you are trying to point to and identify, is this particular thing a 7? If you're correct and stuff, you get to reveal.
Yep.
Tokens, you have your own. You can also, through other people making guesses or inquiries, reveal yours, and you're trying to make sure you don't cut the red wire.
Yes.
Because one of the numbers, one person has a tile that is an instant kaboom.
Yeah.
And that's not good. So you want to avoid that. And you really don't have a ton to go off of, except for that people will arrange their tiles in ascending order. So you know that on one end, these are going to be the lower numbers. On the other end, these are going to be the higher numbers. But you don't necessarily know beyond that.
Right.
What is specifically what. There are some bits, there's yellow wires that will give you some initial information and things. So you have somewhat of an idea of where people are. They have to make educated guesses. There are card powers and things you can use to give yourself a better, hedge your bets a little bit. And this game is just fun. This game is on the most played every month because you can play round after round. It has
missions and stuff.
It has different missions. I think there's 66 in the box.
Which
and
is
the first
a lot.
9 are sort of a tutorial. So they start you off very simply and then build up, and then they start doing really wacky stuff as you get into some of those later missions. So there's a ton of stuff to explore.
Yeah.
This is absolutely one of those Spiel games that you can play with anybody. It's fun to guess stuff. The stakes are high. They're cute little bunnies, but you're dealing with bombs. You know what I mean? Like, it's it's got a lot of appeal. The art style, you're working together, the tension that is coming, because we all have like a reference point for like the movie where the guy's trying to choose between the two wires. And so I think that's a really fun thing that kind of hooks people emotionally into the stakes of the game, while being, very lighthearted in terms of its art and everything else. It's just really fun. There's a ton of content just in that base box. So it's like people are going to be playing this one over and over for a long time.
Yeah.
Next up is El Grande.
One of the classic area control games. Absolutely. Classic area control. And again, this game is not new, so it's like you can see just
like
the staying power. Yeah, I think it's in the mid-90s, I think. And so, the staying power of El Grande is pretty intense.
Absolutely. This is an area control game where you're going to be placing out your caballeros in different areas of the board to try to control stuff and score. And like this is one of those games that there's a couple little other things going on, but it is really kind of like one of those distilled,
clean, yes, exactly,
distilled down area control. Like you're just jockeying for position, trying to push other people out, kinds of games, and that kind of center that a lot of people, their first, I guess attention on a pure area control game would be like El Grande, have then incorporated that into many other games with other mechanisms and stuff as well.
Well, and especially because most people's first area control game was probably Risk.
Yeah,
right.
It definitely has this pure data.
Yeah, it's like area control's been around for a while. War games a lot of times have to do with area control. Risk, obviously.
So it kind of brings into more of a Euro game sensibility.
Exactly. It brings it more into a Euro game thing where instead of like just rolling dice and stuff, you have like special powers and stuff that you're getting.
Cards
and
you're playing,
cards and stuff. It's one of those games that I played for the first time a couple years ago where someone was like, I was at a convention in LA and someone was like, you want to play El Grande? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, because I haven't played El Grande, and this is such a staple.
Yeah,
it's such a classic.
Like, it's a little embarrassing we haven't played it yet.
And it was one of the things particularly pure area control games are not really my thing. But halfway through, I was like, oh, I get why people like this game, and I get why this is considered can be one of the godfathers, if not the godfather for area control games.
Yeah, for like modern gaming.
For like modern area control games, this is like the pinnacle and like kind of the godfather for them all. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, I completely get that. That makes total sense. There was just recently a new version of this.
Yeah, with some new updated art because the older art looked a little dated.
She old, yeah.
But they've updated that a little bit, which is cool because that means El Grande is going to continue on for the next generation and stuff, as it should, because there's so many games that I know. If we talk to designers, we could say, they would say, oh yeah, I was inspired by El Grande. I want to do a twist on that. And so who knows how many games have kind of been birthed from El Grande.
They're just games that are like Spiel des Jahres-y games, and Azul is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's not always, all of these obviously are they one, but there's just certain games you're like, man, that's got Spiel written on it.
It's such a perfect pick for a Spiel letter.
It's got Spiel written all over, and Azul is very much that. When this game hit, I remember when this game hit at Essen. I can't remember the exact number, but I remember
they had like 2,000 copies.
They brought like 2,000 copies of it, and they sold every single one of them, which means they knew they had a hit on their hand, and boy did they! Because Azul has been around.
Yeah, so Azul is a tile-laying game. You're making a mosaic, and you are going to be drafting these tiles from these different factories, these different cards. And the rule is when you take tiles, you have to take all the tiles of one color.
Yes.
And these are very beautiful, colorful, acrylic, little tinky
lots of
bits.
Click clackies.
Very satisfying bits, which was the first thing I noticed where I was like, whoa, I haven't seen a game that
candy.
Looks beautiful, looks delicious, literally delicious. And you're going to be taking those tiles, and you have to put them into one of 5 rows on your board. The top row can hold 1 tile. The second row to be filled needs 2, 3, 4, then 5. And after everyone drafts all the different tiles from the middle of the table, if any of those rows for you are full, you will then take 1 tile and put it over into its marked space in your into your mosaic, your tableau that you're building, and then score points. You're trying to put together kind of contiguous groups,
rows and columns, diagonals,
rows and columns of connected tile pieces. You're trying to build strategically in that. In your mosaic, each color can appear exactly once in all of 5 of the rows. So you're trying to get all of the blues and stuff to get some bonus points. You're trying to complete columns for bonus points. And once someone has completely filled in 1 row, the game will end at the end of that round.
Yes.
So this is one that, like, again, it's easy to understand the rules. The drafting can be really crafty and you can really mess with people.
Yes.
So it's like a game that is like sneakily more strategic than you would think.
You can't place tiles, you break them, which will be negative points. So you can force people to take a bunch of stuff
Ideally,
they can't.
You make
know
them
they
dump a
can't
bunch of
house.
stuff. Yeah, so this is one that, like, massive appeal on its look. It's very satisfying to play. It's very satisfying to manipulate the pieces. It's just, looking back, it's no wonder that it blew up the way it did. But it was very cool to see them like announce like this game with all these copies. And they flew off the shelves, and then like the game was actually that good.
There's so many different versions of it. Yeah,
there's a million versions of it and stuff. And it's like Azul will be around forever.
Oh yeah. Next up is also a very Spiel Jahres-y game, I would say, and this is Cascadia.
Yeah, man.
Cascadia won a couple of years ago, and it really deserves it. Again, a game with a bunch of staying power. They've had a bunch of different versions of it now. Cascadia is a great game where you are building out kind of a habitat in the Pacific Northwest, so like where Seattle is, and you are doing something. A lot of games have now, this is kind of becoming I feel like this is now becoming a thing that a lot of other games are borrowing from, which I think is beautiful in board games, that games borrow from each other, which is that you're going to have some kind of terrain type or some kind of tile and then some kind of token that goes along with it. Mm-hmm. So these tokens are going to be various animals you find in the Pacific Northwest, like an elk, a hawk, this different kind of fish, bears and things like that. And it's going to be matched with a tile, but all that is random. And these tiles are going to have different landscapes on them, like forest and like water and things like that. And then in the middle of the tile, it's going to have a couple different animals, or maybe even only one animal, that tile can actually have on it. And so you're drafting a tile and a token. You're going to place that tile in your growing tableau of these landscapes, generally trying to match landscape to landscape, though you don't have to, but you will score points at the end of the game for having like the biggest forest, for having like the biggest glacier, that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. And then you will place that animal token on a tile that can house it. And then all of the animals will score differently. So, and the cool thing is they kind of do that Quaxi-Quedlinburg thing where the tokens are all the same. Like all the bear tokens, the grizzly bear tokens are all exactly the same, but the scoring card for the bear can switch out. There's like 5 of them in the game. So each game you can have a different way that this kind of thing scores.
Yep.
Yeah, so it might be like the bears tend to be like kind of like isolated creatures. So you want to have a bunch of bears but not touching each other. That'll be worth a certain amount of points. For the fish, you want the fish in one big line because they're kind of like making a big school, big, salmon runs going up.
Salmon run the river or whatever.
They're going up the river and stuff like that. And so you have all these different ways that these animals can score that, again, you can switch out and they all work together.
Yeah.
And it just makes this game infinitely playable. We have a good friend, Dave, who plays this game like every single day.
Yeah, without fail, pretty much. Yeah, it is a game that, like, it just goes down smooth. It's easy to explain. It's got beautiful art. It's satisfying because the game sort of grows in front of you. It has a lot of those, like, keystone things from past Spiel des Jahres winners. It does something you haven't seen where, again, the board kind of grows. The kind of drafting system of taking a tile and a token together. Being able to break some of those rules with those pine cones, those nature tokens. This is probably my personal favorite from Spiel des Jahres
Interesting.
winner.
I be mine too.
I think it's just like truly one of the most replayable games ever.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get old.
Yeah.
It's so fun and satisfying every time to build. This is another one that you're like, when it was announced as a nominee, I was like, oh, it's for sure gonna win.
That's got Spiel.
You know what I mean? It just seems like a Spiel game.
Yeah, it does.
Next up is going to be our number one.
Number one on this list, which I think is like 33 overall.
Ranked 33 overall as of this moment. This is Sky Team.
Yes, indeed.
This is a game that is just been so successful
Yes.
and massively popular.
And it's interesting because when this one first came out, when it got nominated for the Spiel, I was kind of like, oh, interesting, like, because this is a two-player cooperative game.
Dice placement game.
Dice placement game where you are a pilot and a co-pilot trying to land a plane. And you can kind of talk each round about what you want to do, but once you roll your dice, no more talking, and you just have to place one by one. And so this is a game, at least for me, didn't have like Spiel written all over it.
Right.
And then when it got nominated, I was like, oh, that's cool, like that, because this is kind of a different game. It's by Scorpion Masqué, who make their games are always very different. They're always just kind of outside the box. Games like Turing Machine and stuff, where you're like, God, I've just never seen something like that before. They just do really outside of the box stuff.
And things. Just like...
And then it won, and I was like, yo, let's go. Sky Team won. That's incredible. And then it's just been getting played non-stop ever since. But it's a really interesting concept of, like, again, you're trying to land this plane together. There are certain spots on the board, certain dice placement spots that only the pilot can place on, only the co-pilot can place on, and there's certain spots that both of you can kind of place on. And you're going to have, is it 4 dice or 5 dice?
4 dice each.
4 dice. But there's 2 spots you always have to place. Both of you each have to place, and that's going to be on the tilt of the plane.
Yep.
And then also the speed of the plane. Because again, you are approaching an airport and you have to land safely. It means you can't be coming in too fast.
Yep.
You can't overshoot the airport.
Can't be coming in sideways.
You can't be coming in sideways. That'd be insane. There's all these things. The landing gear has to be down. You have all these...
Play the flaps. You got to slow it down.
You got to do all these different things. And again, certain things like only the co-pilot can do. So you have to do those over time.
You got to clear planes, in front of you. You can't be going crashing into anybody.
And that alone, I think, would have been fine in terms of the game. But then on top of that, in the game, the base game, they added a whole bunch of airports. And so the first one you're going into is just like, I think it's Montreal, right? Because I think that's where they're based.
Yeah, I think it's like the kind of easy.
It's kind of like the normal one, no special rules. But then the next one is like you're going into London Heathrow. And one thing you have to do is there's all these other planes in the way, and you have to get them out of the way. That's in everyone, but in Heathrow's a very busy airport.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of planes in the way. There's other ones where you're having to land on like an icy one. There's ones where you have like a kerosene leak. One where you have like an intern and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
there's all these modules you can play with it, all these different airports to land at.
Different difficulty levels. I mean, kind of like Bomb Busters. There's just a ton in this base game, all these different scenarios.
So much
when
content.
It really could have just been that first one, and that probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
And then but they didn't. They just went all out with it.
Yeah, I just think it's really cool. It's just a really neat idea for a 2-player game. Having these 2 roles, so you have just a little bit of different things you need to focus on than your partner. A little bit of mitigation for those dice rolls with the coffee, which like coffee does solve all problems, so I appreciate that.
Right here, baby.
And then just giving so much content, in a box that's only yay big.
Yeah.
For a price that's meant to sell. It's
2-player, it's like 30 minutes.
2-player, I gotta imagine a lot of people can play with their partner, play with their kids. It's not super long. You can play round after round and kind of explore those modules to increase your difficulty. It's one that, like, when it first was announced, I was like, oh, that's cool, because I personally were fans of the game.
Yes.
Like, oh, that's cool. And then seeing it win, seeing its overall ranking go so high to be in the top 50 of all time now, and continue to get play on Board Game Arena, and just and now have the Turbulence expansion, so there's even more modules you can add in. I don't imagine we have seen the end of the content for Sky Team.
I imagine not, right?
And it's, again, a cool theme. Like, it's unique. I haven't seen a theme like that, and it puts you into very real-world stakes that you can immediately hook into. You know that landing the plane safely is pretty important. And so I think it gets you locked into the mission. Like, what are we trying to accomplish here? And I think that's just something that creates a compelling experience every single time. And that is the list by you.
It is indeed.
You have made this list. Thank you so much, everybody. This is a reminder that you can interact with games on Board Game Geek. They are not set in stone things. No. It's a living, breathing website. And so if you have your favorite games out there and don't have a profile for Board Game Geek, welcome to the best resource in this entire hobby.
Welcome to your new obsession.
And you can, rank your games. You can talk about what makes this game tick for you. If ever you need questions for rules and stuff, people have probably already asked about that game, and you can search through forum posts and things to get even more information, strategy stuff, on and on and on. Take pictures of your games, contribute to the site. It is driven by us, the users. So
it's a big living document, you know?
these are officially, for now, as of today, the picks of Spiel the Jahres winners are the most highly considered overall of all board games of all time. But of course, this list can and probably will change because this year there'll be a new Spiel winner, and it may very well blow up and become the biggest thing we've ever seen. And change this entire list.
It's March, mid-March right now, so the nominees for this coming year should be
in a few months,
They're usually in the spring, and so keep an eye out for the Spiel Jahres announcements because it's always a very exciting time
in the comments, put your prediction for what games you think might get nominated.
Take time. That's my Spiel. That's my Spiel pick. My unofficial Spiel pick is Take Time. It seems like a very Spiel-y game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Puzzly game.
Yes.
With that said, Scorpion Masqué, I'm gonna go tag team as a potential.
Oh, that's interesting.
But time will tell on
let
that
us know.
front.
Also, let us know what other people's choice lists you want us to see us cover.
What are some topics you want us to
again,
do?
it can kind of be anything as long as we can make a list out of it.
Yep.
Because we enjoy showing off what y'all think and what y'all like, and so let us know down in the comments below what you'd like to see. And thank you so much for being here. I'm Nick.
I'm Mike.
We're the Brothers Murphy, and we'll see y'all later.
Bye.